is the Shen and Shan Show, where Shenice, my mom,
and Shan the Pam
interview with LGBTQ plus professionals and entrepreneurs.
So let's get giddy and start the show.
Hey there, my name is Shenice.
And I'm Shan.
And this is the Shen and Shan Show.
And today on the Shen and Shan Show, we have one of our favorite people in the whole wide world, Vinh, coming on and talking about his business and his stories. So welcome.
Welcome, Vinh. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you two?
Doing well. Well, let's talk about Vinh for a minute. How did we meet Vinh? Vinh, how did we meet you?
I remember.
It was actually at a HRC recruitment event, and we were all there to volunteer and find ways to give back to our community. And you so happened to sit down at the booth I was sitting at, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. That's awesome. Yeah. So Human Rights Campaign, they have their event, and we were just signing up to be volunteers, trying to get more involved in the community, trying to stand for good causes and good organizations. And we met the wonderful Vinh. Yes. We were so happy and came into our lives.
Stayed in touch, right? Like, I think we met there, and then did we end up meeting somewhere else again? Can't remember. Or did you invite us somewhere?
You came to my birthday party, my Panda birthday party.
Yes. So Vinh kept us together and kept on keeping us together.
Yes. True.
Someone has to set you two straight for sure.
All right. So let's start with just a short introduction about you, your life, as short as it can be. I mean, take as much time as you need, but just give us some background on you. Who are you? Where are you from? Where were you raised? What has life been serving to you? Just give us a little bit about you.
Sure. I'll try to condense 42 years in 42 seconds or so. But as y'all just introduced, my name is Vinh, too. I was born in a place called Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. But my parents basically went through the immigration process and brought me over here since I was 2 years old. I literally just yesterday got a picture of myself from literally when I was a baby on the boat that brought us over here. So it's been 40 plus years since I came into this country. I was pretty much raised in Houston, went through school, graduated from Houston high school, and then left for San Antonio for college, and worked a small stint in Austin. Came back to San Antonio for a few more years before I moved to Arizona, and lived there for approximately 8 years, and came back to Houston, and now in New Braunfels. So for the most part, traveled quite a bit. From an educational standpoint, I completed my bachelor's degree, business administration from the University of Texas at San Antonio. I got my master's of science in management from Argosy University, and I am in my last 4 classes for my doctoral degree in Doctorate of Education with the emphasis in organizational leadership with Grand Canyon University. So I am ridiculously crazy that I think I can do this amongst all of the craziness of work and this pandemic.
But you're doing it.
Yeah.
And and you're this close, and you're gonna crush it. That's amazing.
That's all we can hope for, right?
No, you're gonna do it. So why'd you choose that degree? What made you go back to school?
Sure. So I've always believed being the first to graduate from my family, really, the first generation graduate. I think in my soul, I've always believed that education is the powerful tool. I don't necessarily believe that education has to come from academia. I do believe that everybody has an opportunity to learn every day, and however they choose is the right pathway to learn, they should continually do that. And so I think after I finished my master's degree, I still felt a little empty. And I think I realized that a bucket list of mine was always to get a doctorate. One, because no one in my family has one. But two, I really believe that it is something that I wanted to prove to myself, that I can be an expert in something because of my passion. And, professionally, I don't need it. It really won't serve me any professional purpose, but more of a, you did it. And, you can accomplish anything that you set your mind to. So I think I ended with the doctorate of education because I believe in the education. And then the whole emphasis in organizational leadership is I have carried with me in my professional career the philosophy of servant leadership. And I believe that a true leader is one that serves with its people, not the other way around.
Right. No.
And
Definitely.
so I tend to work for organizations or come into organizations and be a part of that change or that progression.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's awesome. I think that it's amazing that you're going for a doctorate. And can you just tell us some more about that? Like, when you're making a decision to go for the doctorate, how long does it take? How do you choose your school? What goes into deciding what degree to get? What does having a doctorate mean?
Sure. Well, first you have to be crazy to do it. I think any person out there who
Is it really
worked,
rigorous?
yes,
How much time
yes.
does it take?
It's literally a second full-time job.
Wow.
Anybody who's completed their doctoral program or going through it while they're working a full-time job, possibly even having a family, would tell you it is immensely intense, and not necessarily from a coursework perspective where, oh, look, you had to complete this, assignment, or there's a quiz, or there's a test, but your ultimate goal is to complete your dissertation and defend it. And your dissertation is basically a book that you are putting together and compiling to showcase a gap in an area that is missing research in the field that you're interested in. So, I would say it's just like deciding which school you want to go to for your bachelor's or your master's degree. It's one that fulfills that need, and not every university is going to have every possible doctorate program. Obviously, it's not a program that across the nation is, you don't walk into a doctoral class with 300 classmates, right? It's very different from a bachelor's degree where that is a possibility. And so, you automatically narrow down your choices just based on what you're interested in. And then two, you want to find something that you really feel like you can talk about all day, every day. And because of my passion in education, and because of the work that I've done within different organizations, I believe that, leadership is from the top down. Culture is influenced that way. And it spoke to me personally, and that's why I did it. The program itself, give or take, is between 2 to 3 years, but most people that I know that have completed the doctoral program usually take longer, because they might have needed, like myself, I had to take a break. I took a mental break because it was a lot.
I mean, a lot of people do put a lot of pressure on themselves. It's okay to take a break, whether in your bachelor's, your master's, or your, doctoral program. You can take a break, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I took a break when I had my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I took a break when I was getting my bachelor's, and I think I took a semester or two off. However, I still graduated on time, so I put that pressure back on myself. But what I'm saying is, it's okay to take 6 years to get a bachelor's. It's okay to take 4 or 5 years to get a doctorate. Everybody's different, and that healthy mental break is super important.
Yeah. I'm sorry. you know me, sometimes I zone in and out thinking about different things. What is your doctorate degree going to be in again?
It's
What
a
you
doctorate
said?
of education
Education.
in a focus and emphasis on organizational leadership.
Okay. And I see, going back through your pre-interview questions, I see it seems like leadership has been something that's been part of your life since high school. So I see you kind of define leadership as something that was a defining moment when you were in high school. So do you want to kind of talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Most people probably wouldn't believe it, but I was that shy kid. I did not like talking. I did not like meeting people. I did not want to speak up. And it wasn't until freshman year, of course, started high school and joined student council, but as a member, got on a committee, picked the community service committee, and gave back because I do that personally in my life, so it just felt very fitting. And then, lo and behold, sophomore year, a new high school was being built in our district that was more college prep. It was a magnet school, and you had to apply to get in. And I thought, why not? Because I was part of a graduating class that would have been over 700 students had I stayed and finished my senior year there. And I took a shot, applied, I got accepted. And I thought it was just going to be a normal finish sophomore year at this school and then start my junior and senior year at the new school. Only to find out during the summer leading into my junior year, because of my involvement in the previous high school, in student council, the principal called me to have a meeting with who would have been the student council sponsor at the new high school, and wanted to hear my thoughts and my opinions, and basically asked me if I would be willing to be their first student body president. My immediate
Just off the
answer
bat.
my immediate answer was no. Who are you talking to? Like, this Asian guy is gonna stand up in
You
front
mean
of
the
a
guy
room full-
behind me? Like,
yeah, like this one? Like, are you sure? And so I begrudgingly said okay, because I wanted to challenge myself, but it was certainly something I knew I was going to go into failing. And there were certainly moments being president for the first time where I wanted to quit. I wanted to be like, this, I can't, like, they're not listening, or I don't know how to motivate them. I'm just
Right.
not sure. And my student council sponsor, pretty much became my second mom at school. And she didn't just teach me how to be a leader and find the confidence within myself, but really taught me to believe in me, in what I brought to the table, and skills and talents that I didn't even know I had, or even thought I could have. And so, needless to say, I finished my first year being selected as president, but I ran for re-election and I won again, but this time elected by the student body. And so it was a proud moment to know that your fellow classmates across all the different grade levels, of people that you may or may not have personally known, believed in you enough to take it for a second year. So I will say, from somebody who never thought he would be a leader in any capacity, to have somebody kind of handpicked you, and gave you an opportunity and opened a door, because it's certainly not very common, especially when I was in school, to see someone of color be in a leadership role, especially when you went to a high school that was all about if you're in an athletic program, or if you fit a certain mold and a certain look. And so it was definitely unique and interesting, and I will be forever grateful to her, who is now a guardian angel of mine. She's moved on, and I every time I step on that campus, and every time I think back to my early days as a leader, I will always pay my respects to her, because she she helped me in more ways than one can ever count.
Well, 100%. I think that when we are brought onto this earth, we have many people raising us. So just because someone gave birth to you does not necessarily mean that they are the one or the only one raising you. Sometimes you have other mothers, fathers, all around who are all molding. It takes, when they say it takes a village, it really truly does. And it's even better when you have a village. A lot of the village isn't curated by our parents, but it's who you attract.
Right.
I was watching Imposters earlier. Have you watched that? Imposters?
No, but I've heard the show. Yeah.
So, there are these people that go around acting like they're someone that they're not, to fill a need in someone else. So, let's say Shan. I found Shan, and she just really needed some love in her life. And I gave her that love and said, my name is not Shenice. I told her my name was Sam. And married her. And then after I gained her trust and married her and got access to everything, I'd take all her money, put a mortgage on her house, and leave, and she'd never see me again. And there's this lady in Imposters who, she hadn't gotten to that phase where, no one was going to marry her or anything, but she was just saying she was really hurt because she said that basically how people lie and cheat and steal, those are things that can, affect people for the rest of their lives, right? So there's certain things, and now that's of course a negative side of it, but it's what I'm relating to is how, this mentor of yours really truly affected you for the rest of your life and what she taught you. And so in a good way, she was a good imposter, being that mom figure who could mold you, guide you, and get you to that level where you never expected, brought that side of you.
Build the confidence.
Right, right.
Because I think a lot of people go through life and not have that. And that was one of the main reasons why I got into education, was because I was one of those kids that felt like if I would have had someone step in, I think I would be a lot further in life. But so I tried to be, when I was teaching, I tried to be that teacher that helped build that confidence in teachers. And so, I mean, I kind of felt that about you when I met you. And I, as you know, we only hang around people that are positive and, want the best for us, and we want the best for them. So we definitely get that vibe with you, because we wouldn't have stayed in contact, right? So So I know that's
the feeling's
part of your
mutual.
purpose. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now that you've told us about some of these really great stepping stones for you, these, the foundation of where you are today, tell us about what you're doing today. What's your career, your business? What are you involved in? Are there any organizations that are important to you that you're maybe volunteering with? Let us know all about that.
Sure. So professionally, y'all have known I just work a lot. But my day job, so to speak, is I am, excuse me, I am the admissions director for a beauty school out here in New Braunfels. So I help students basically start their education and find their dream and help them get enrolled and get started and pursue something that will forever change their life. On the outside of that quote unquote day job, I am also a consultant as a senior project manager for a company I've been with for over 5 years that helps clients basically become the better version of themselves from a customer service standpoint, from an employee training standpoint, from internal and external marketings, making sure they have the right digital marketing presence, and how do you go about doing that. And so from a consultative role, I play a huge part in that. So that's probably the part that connects to my degree from an organizational leadership standpoint. And then the other part that I do part-time now, since I moved from Houston and kind of closed down the brick and mortar part of the school, is I still teach some students English as a second language online. So because I do so much, and with school trying to wrap up, I don't teach as often. But about twice a week, I meet with my students online and kind of help them um, get a grasp on our very difficult English language, and help them feel more and more comfortable going out into the real world and just kind of be normal,
Right.
and be okay to communicate.
Now, do you speak any other languages?
Where do I start? So English, of course, was not my first language. So I speak two different dialects in Chinese. Chow is my main dialect. That's what my parents spoke. I learned how to speak Cantonese by watching Chinese movies
Oh, wow.
as a youngster. I took 4 years of Spanish, so I know a little bit of Spanish if you're not speaking at rapid pace.
Right.
I can definitely understand that. And then I do understand and speak a little bit of Vietnamese, because I was, of course, born there, and I love Vietnamese food. And then English. So give or take 5-ish.
That's awesome. Now, but you're from Vietnam, but you don't speak Vietnamese. How does that work? Tell us, what's the story behind that?
A lot of people who migrated over to Vietnam came from China. And there was a community of people who speak what would be called Chu Zhao in Chinese. It's a group of people who speak that native tongue, and they moved to Vietnam. So during their migration, they had to pick up a second language and be able to speak to people there. And so my parents, although Chow in English translation was their first primary language, they also learned to speak Vietnamese. So I'm technically Vietnamese because of my birth, but as a nationality or ethnicity, I'm Chinese first.
Okay, very cool. All right. So I do have a one more question about kind of your profession. So I just want to start with your day job, the admissions director for the beauty school. What kind of qualifications would you need to become an admissions director or something in that field? So if someone was looking to, have this career, what are those qualifications? What does that look like? And then we'll move on to the consultant senior project manager, see what that looks like too.
Sure. I think for most organizations, institutions that hire an admissions director, they of course would want someone either in school or going to finish school. I think it only speaks to their credibility to talk about education, if you have one, right? Or some form of formal training to be able to get someone to believe in that educational journey, because it's obviously not an in and out kind of thing, right?
Right.
It takes time, it takes effort, it takes sacrifice. But from a personality or a skill set, someone that can relate to people, someone that can be a storyteller, someone that knows how to ask questions, to really understand where that prospective student is coming from, what their end goal is, and then how one or none of your programs could be fitting for them, and then obviously there are some technical things that they need to understand, be able to talk about financial aid, be able to talk about the whole requirements by state or by program of what's required to actually get them in and get them accepted. But I think an admissions director, and I've been doing it not specifically at this beauty school, but over the years, even in Arizona, when I had been an admissions director as well and a trainer, you really do have to have that relatable persona, somebody that can really sit down and feel comfortable talking to you, because they're putting their trust of their dream in your lap.
Right.
And,
and relying on you as a guide,
right. And you have to secure that dream and help them take that journey, right? You can't do the work for them, and you can't necessarily make it per se any easier, but you can make it more comfortable,
right?
And constantly remind them of why the sacrifice is important, because of the questions that you asked.
Okay. And what about the senior project manager as a
So
consultant role? Because that's
sure.
key, right?
Yeah.
Your own entity.
Yeah. So my role within this organization has evolved over the 5 years that I've been with them. But in just when I left Arizona, I worked a lot with the dental industry.
Mhm.
And so when this organization came about, when I came back to Houston, it was kind of just a very good fit. And I knew the lingo, and I knew the verbiage and the language that people in the dental world were talking. And so I have been able to share my expertise, from whether it be social media marketing, or whether it be the website world, and how to brand yourself, or from a efficiency and organizational standpoint, how do you utilize certain tools and resources that are available to them to make sure that their practices run more effectively and more efficiently. And so there are certain administrative things that I do behind the scenes to help them become better at their tools. However, a lot of it is just consulting, really getting them to buy into that concept, and to some degree holding them accountable. Right, that this is the change that they want,
Like
and
a business
uh,
coach? Is it something?
it's similar.
A
Yeah,
little
there's a
bit?
little bit of business coaching. I obviously there's a other people that I work with, and so maybe things that I'm not necessarily the expert to, I pass it on to a fellow colleague of mine. But I tend to focus on the employee training. I focus on the customer experience, and then a lot of things related to digital marketing.
Okay.
So I see that's like three different things you're doing. So do you have like a schedule? How do your day-to-day work schedule go? I guess I would say.
So
Well, he
I
said
don't
he
know
worked a
that
lot. He already
Yeah.
gave you
right.
the disclaimer.
Right.
So I
So
don't
like
I
break
don't
it
know
down
that
like
I have
day to day.
so I don't know that I have a schedule. I just know that from the time that I wake up till the time I go to bed, I'm working. And whether I'm working on, the day job that I'm in the office Monday through Friday for the most part, or I'm on my lunch break and I'm taking a consultation call, or I'm heading home and I have a conference call, or I'm responding to a gazillion emails, and then squeezing in a doctoral program. So my life revolves around being busy. And to a degree, I love it. And there are certainly moments and times where, like I said, you have to be crazy to do all of this at the same time, where I wish I had a little bit of personal time. But I'm also a believer that, when you work hard, you play hard. So when I'm on vacation, I try to really be on vacation.
Right.
But otherwise, I'm working.
Yeah. No, definitely. Now, across all of these professions and businesses and school, would you say that you are out in all of them? Do you wear your pride glasses and your pride hair and let everybody and anybody know who you are, Vin, as part of the LGBTQ community?
Sure. Um, I would say at this point in my life, there is not a soul that's in my life, professionally or personally, that doesn't know. And I tend to not associate or work for or work with people that um, don't know, or have an issue with it. I'm always open for a dialogue. And I've always been a believer in we can always agree to disagree.
Right.
But I am not at a place in my life, personally or professionally, to be anybody than myself. So yes, I go to work for my day job or any other video conference call, wearing whatever glasses I want to wear and whatever shiny shoes I want to put on and whatever bling jacket that I'm gonna throw on top of that. And I try to be cognizant of maybe my surroundings and knowing, maybe this is not the kind of event to maybe go a little too far, but at the same time, I don't spend hours and hours debating and thinking about it.
Now, was there a point in your life where you decided to do just that? Like, okay, was there ever a point where you did hide, or did you just come to a point and say, you know what, I'm
Or
I'm
maybe
gonna show everyone who the true me is, and
Sure.
maybe he can
So
start with his coming out story.
oh
Maybe
yeah,
that
that's
yeah.
what.
Okay.
yeah. So it's a so I don't know that there was ever a moment in my life that I would say I was hiding, if that makes sense. Because I never talked about it. I never acted on it. I never dated really anyone in high school. I never dated anyone in college. I was
Anyone
very
at all?
Did you know you
I
were
mean,
gay in high school?
um, I'm pretty sure I did. If I think back to, when you have personal alone time and where your thoughts wander, or who you might have found attractive, or who made you kind of turn your head, I'm sure those moments occurred. Um, and so I will say a part of me agrees that I probably knew since I was a very young person that I was gay. But because of the culture that I was raised in, where you focus on school, you do school, you come home, you study, you
You
eat
put your
dinner,
head
you
down.
you you do it again the next day, and then you threw in getting involved on campus, and then parents pushing you to go to college and wanting you to graduate. And I mean, honestly, I never thought about it. I mean, I went to college events and social functions with female friends that were friends, and so I never really dated anyone of any sex. And so it wasn't until I um, took a professional opportunity in Arizona and I left Texas. I left all that I knew in Texas: Houston, San Antonio, Austin, where all my friends and all my colleagues and all my former classmates saw Vin as a certain kind of person, right? He was always working, or he was always volunteering, or he was always in a leadership role. And I left all that and I moved to Arizona, where no one knew me. Vin who? Who is this guy? And, it wasn't until that very moment that I felt like maybe now is the time for me to explore that other side of me.
Mm.
So, not to say that side's never been with me, I just never focused on it. I never gave it the
You
time
don't
of
think you
day.
ever looked around your college friends, anything like that? Never. You just wanted to focus on the
Yeah.
books, on getting
Yep.
stuff done, what you were
Yeah.
taught, right?
Yep.
It's ingrained in you, I'm sure. You
Yeah.
just
Yep.
work, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
Similar
yeah,
story.
like if we were to have met back then and you were like, oh my god, who did you find attractive, I honestly don't know that I would have had an answer for you.
Mm.
Only because that was truly my life. I mean, I was at school almost 10-12 hours a day, and most of it was, if I wasn't in class, I was working. If I wasn't working, I was volunteering in one of 5-6 organizations that I was a part of. And so there was no downtime to really
Right.
focus on that. And
Well,
I wasn't the typical college student that went there to party either. So I didn't
right.
fail out my first semester in school. So
So do you think that you were out of touch with yourself because you were so busy, or do you feel like you were in touch, you just knew that that was a part of you that it's just not that important right now, I'm going to explore that later and focus on what I need to do?
I don't know that I could say it was one way or the other. I think I just completely left it as a part of me that just never got any attention. I don't know that I could have told you that I was gay, but I also
Mhm.
don't know that if you asked me if I was, that I would be able to say no either. Like, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I just never thought about it, and I truly was. Um, the irony is what has changed. I'm still overly involved, and I'm still doing too much. But allow myself to really consider that to be the missing piece of my whole authentic self, if that makes sense.
This show is supported by Empower Financial, where we help you protect, grow, and build wealth through life insurance and retirement planning.
At a minimum, everyone, protect your family with at least 10 times your income in permanent life insurance. Have a safety net in case you become ill, or you can use the cash value in retirement as tax-free income. So reach out to us from our website at www.empowerfinanciallife.com or click the link in the show notes.
Self, if that makes sense. I thought I was living the most authentic life that I could, being who I was, because all of the things that I did do, I thoroughly enjoyed, and I don't regret a single minute of any of that. However, my personal life, I don't think I went into that space to go, wow, I really wish maybe I would have spent a little bit more time knowing myself or finding myself on a personal level, until I went to Arizona and moved there and had literally nobody. I didn't know a single soul in that city. And I allowed myself to meet different people, explore, go on apps, and start talking. And that's when I found that missing piece of me, whether it was always connected or disconnected at some point, where I was like, oh, this was normal. So there was never, which is really weird because I've always said this to my friends, like, I believe that everybody should come out whenever they're comfortable.
Right.
But I never had a coming out moment.
Like a
if
moment,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't throw myself a party. I didn't, and I have friends who did that, and I'm happy for them. But I never did any of that. It was just kind of like, oh, I'm going on a date with a guy. Oh, I like you. Oh, I went to my first Pride. Oh, because it was just me. Like, I finally got to focus on me, and I didn't have to be pulled in 16 different directions, because when I left everything. I left my job, I left my career, I left all the organizations that I was involved with. So
you were building a new community, and I guess that to kind of figure out, okay, what in me do I want to reflect in my community? What kind of community am I trying to find? What am I seeking? And like, take a whole move, take you completely outside of your comfort zone to kind of whip that part of you in. So at what age did you start dating then?
30.
Ooh, you got Shan beat.
Yeah. Crazy, but 30.
She likes to always say she's only been in one other relationship, and she didn't start dating until, well, you started dating sooner than
25.
that. 25 to go into her first relationship, but she was dibbling and dabbling way before that. Yeah.
Well, at least you dibbled and dabbled. I didn't do any of that. It really was not until I moved to Arizona. I couldn't think of one coherent event that I ever went to that I brought a guy, that I talked to a guy in that way, or even went on a, just a, hey, let's meet up for tea or coffee, like nothing. So
go ahead. So once you started dating, talking to guys, did you ever feel that awkward feeling, like, or like you didn't want people in the public to notice you, or stop holding hands or walk by? Did you ever go through that type of situation?
I didn't for myself, but I did for the people that I was dating, if that makes sense. Like, if they weren't someone that wanted to showcase PDA, I was aware and I was conscious of that. Okay. But for me, no. And then that's why I say, like, it's hard to say when I came out, because maybe I've always, maybe I was always that person, but my clothes changed. I started to wear maybe more bling. Maybe I started to wear more jewelry. Maybe I decided to color my hair more, whatever that might have been. But I think slowly but surely throughout my life, everything kind of happened to allow me to be more authentically myself. through every opportunity event. And because like, if I even think about it, there may have even been a correlation for, me becoming a leader in high school, allowing myself to speak and exert my thoughts, my feelings, in a way that before I was asked to suppress it through my culture, through my family, of like, it doesn't matter what you think, you're not old enough to know, you're not old enough to have an opinion, or it doesn't matter. And so I think everything that I've went through in my life allowed me to be the person that I am, but and created that safe space in my mind and my soul when I left. Because even when I think about, the fraternity that I was a part of in college, I was the go-to guy for how they dressed, to dress to impress. That's not typical of a straight man to be in that role. And so, maybe that was just another way that people saw it.
Right.
But he didn't necessarily see himself that way,
Right.
because he didn't think about it. And so a lot of my friends, when I came out or introduced them to my first boyfriend or whatever, no one was surprised. No one said, "Oh my God, I didn't know." They were like, "Oh, they were all like, "Oh, thank God you finally figured it out." And so
I think his is kind of like a true definition of what Jason says. He let people in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Including himself, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Now, you came out. I don't know what's typical of your culture, but how does your culture either embrace or shun the LGBTQ community, and did you experience any of that?
And how is your relationship with your family?
Sure. I think as a general rule of thumb in our culture, being gay is frowned upon. It's certainly not something to be loud and proud.
You said frowned upon, right?
Yeah, frowned upon. Yeah, it's certainly not something that any Asian father or mother wants of their son or daughter. They have a certain typical vision. You grow up, you get married, you have children, you build your life, and you become a doctor or a lawyer, or and I failed in all of those categories. And so for generalization, I think most people would agree, if they come from the Asian culture, that it is not an easy thing to talk about. It's not an easy thing to be prideful about, because people don't want to know, and if they do know, they certainly don't want to talk about it. Because I personally, again, in quotes, came out at that stage in my life, and I was in Arizona, and most of my immediate family were all in Texas. I never really had to deal with it. My siblings, of course, being of a younger generation, they certainly didn't care. They loved me anyway. I don't have a relationship with my father, and my mom and I have always had a roller coaster ride. So, I think a part of my dad, if we had a relationship, he would me, if he did not already disown me years ago, he would certainly disown me for this very reason.
Mm-hmm.
For my mom, I do remember conversations where she's had asked, like, "I think your uncle said that he thinks you're gay. Are you gay?" And at that moment in time, because I never dated anyone, my answer was like, no, because I didn't
Right.
know. Like,
Right.
I couldn't tell you that I
Like, you
was
weren't
straight.
trying to slap a label on yourself either.
Right. Right. So I didn't really honestly have a good answer for either direction.
Right. And based on what, that too. What is that
right.
assumption based
Exactly.
on?
And so I would assume that my mom is more okay with it now, not because she has a choice in the matter, but just because my siblings are probably more in her ear just about the way life is now, and people need to be more open-minded, and maybe that's part of her change. But certainly, if my mom felt the same way as my dad. Would it surprise me? No. Certainly, there are still uncles and aunts that I see every now and then, and they're always like, "When are you gonna get married?" And the question is never, "When are you gonna get married to a man?" It's
Right.
always,
Of course.
when are you gonna have kids?
And,
You're gonna have, have that big old wedding like we've been waiting for. And so I tread lightly, not because I'm trying to be someone that I'm not, but also I don't want to stir up something just to have an hour, 2 hour, 4 hour debate on that is not going to necessarily change their mind.
Right.
As we kind of said at the beginning of this, I, as all three of us, we tend to associate with people who bring positivity and joy into our lives. And I don't mind educating someone, but I'm also not going to have an ignorant conversation with you either. So.
100%. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it for your well-being. It's not even worth the fuss sometimes to, speak to someone who is just, they're not open to it. Like, you're open to a conversation. You're open to, a dialogue. You're open to being educated and giving the education. But some people just aren't. So
Correct.
You have to decide for your own mental well-being, is it worth your time, effort, and frustration to go through that, right? So
definitely.
Yeah. Now, last thing I want to ask before we do some wrap-up questions.
We haven't
Sure.
talked about this one yet.
That's what I'm getting to. Yeah. We want to talk about you and your partner now, or however you reference him. How did y'all meet? And just give us the whole story about your relationship and all that good stuff.
Sure. So Daryl and I met this September will be 4 years ago.
Congrats.
Thank you. Today actually is our 3 years and 10 months. So 2 more months.
The 28th?
Yes, the 28th.
Yeah, today, the 28th.
That's ours too, the day.
Yeah,
the
the day
28th.
is the same for us too.
Girl, I already gave you enough advice. Don't try to steal my day, okay? Make your own day. So, I'm just kidding. So we actually met online. Daryl didn't really honestly believe in the whole online dating. In the gay community, it does have its own stigma if you go online, and it's about getting, what you need to get and hooking up and all that stuff. But he had made a deal with a friend of his that he would give it a shot, and so
I
he
hear this
tried it.
story very frequently. I feel like
Yes.
a lot of people
Yep.
just accidentally stumble, or a friend does it.
So he did it for 7 days. On the 7th day was when my profile came up for him. And he says he liked my smile, and he reached out to me. However, his profile came up when he sent that message with a blank avatar. I do not talk to anybody who doesn't have a picture. So I didn't respond until he actually sent a photo. Because I wanted, and it's not about being judgy. I just don't know who I'm talking to. Like, I don't know if you're real or not real.
You're getting catfished out there.
Right, exactly. So, and so I waited for that. We talked, and the irony in all of that is that we were literally across the street from each other.
Oh my gosh.
We were from door to door. We were 2 minutes away from each other.
Wow.
And when we met for our first date, we literally did not know it was going to take 2 minutes to get to the other person's apartment.
Y'all getting ready, giving each other like an hour in advance.
Right, exactly, because you just didn't know, right? You always plan ahead, and but we met, and 3 years, 10 months later, we have gone through him taking care of me during surgeries. I've been there for him. Moved out to New Braunfels because of a job opportunity that he had. We have traveled He took me on my first cruise ever in my life. He's been to cities that he's never traveled to for the first time in his life because of me. So we, and now, we live in a house together and we have 4 dogs together. And things are good. I don't know what lies in the future as far as, next big step. But where we are right now, we're good,
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, who would have thought 3 years and 10 months ago that he would have stuck around on the 7th day before he canceled his membership
Right.
and
That's
or deleted his profile, and so I
and
do
you ignored
believe
him
that,
at first, so
right.
you
Yeah,
ignored him.
exactly.
That's
Yep.
so funny. I love it. Y'all are the cutest. I love y'all together.
Oh,
Alrighty, so
We gotta
we're
go back after all of this corona is gone, and y'all gotta get me wine wasted again.
Oh jeez.
I
We stumbled across. Go ahead, Vin.
That's a podcast in itself.
It is.
Just talking about that experience with you, Shan. I swear to God.
You might have to add that picture of me, you and her.
We actually went back to that one particular stop.
Yes.
And we were like, oh my God, where is that bartender? She will so remember us. And so, yes, I will never forget, and neither will Daryl ever forget about that trip the 4 of us took, for sure.
Oh my gosh. We just stumbled, like a few weeks ago, we stumbled across like pictures and videos of it. I was just dying. It was just like, this is so, and she doesn't remember it. She has no recollection, but I have the proof.
Exactly. I will say this to you, Shan. You got some balls when you're drunk. like take the filter out of your system drunk.
100%.
Like, you say whatever is on your mind, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm like, wow, who's this person?
Alter ego. Yep.
Right. But you know what though? It was all good fun.
Yes, it was fun. So much fun.
Yes.
All right. So we're gonna go to wrap-up questions now. So
all right, you ready? It's nothing serious, but what would you say is your best money habit?
I don't know that I have one, other than know how to spend it very well. But I will say, and I don't know if this is a habit or a philosophy. I do believe saving money, and I do believe in setting yourself up for the future. Okay. But I'm also a huge believer in, when you go, you don't take any of that with you. So you should also spend it on yourself and your loved ones while you're alive. At the end of the day, if you set yourself up well, whether that be a life insurance policy, whether that be some savings to help you when you get to that place that you are ready to retire, I think all of those things are smart things to do. But I also think that you don't have to be Scrooge for your entire life's existence, and then you die, and then so it's really finding that middle ground. I don't know that at 42 I found it, but I will say that I do my best to be cognizant of what I need to do to protect my future and those that are my family, but also at the same time being present in the moment, knowing that, this might be the last birthday gift I buy this person, or the last thing that I, surprise so-and-so with. And so,
the last experience you have.
Right, exactly. So
I love experiences, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just walking that very fine line. And that the one thing that all of us can agree is that tomorrow is never promised. And so that doesn't just apply to the last breath you take, but that applies to the money you have, and that applies to the, like you said, the last experience you do, and the last words you say to someone. So truly just finding that balance every single day.
Right.
Okay.
The only thing I want to say that, and I know you haven't necessarily found that balance yet, but I think as a society and as individuals, we need to be able to find ways to get in touch with ourselves to say, like, what are those things that we really truly do enjoy to spend that money on, right?
Yep.
Because sometimes, well, not sometimes, most of the times, a lot of us in this kind of culture and society, we get caught up with Facebook, Instagram, social media, the flashy things, the flashy car. You think people are living the perfect lives when we know in actuality, it's usually not that way. Every
Sure.
couple, every person, there's always something. And so I always urge people, I'm big on life by design, right? If there's something really important to you, then focus your time, energy, your funds on something like that instead of everything, because more than likely everything, all the things, all the different avenues you may be going on to spend your money, they don't all equate to the same amount of joy. So if you love to travel and you love experiences, then don't buy the fanciest car and the you know the biggest house, because you like to travel anyways. You're never going to be there. You know, focus your time, energy, and monies on that. So we should take more time to figure out, like, what's at the top of our joy list, so we can still live the most fulfilling life, but still save for the future and all that other good stuff.
No, I
know she wants
agree
to say
1,000%.
I know she wants to say more things because I know her. So, but I know for podcast timing, she's gonna cut it short. But
oh yeah, I am.
I can feel that coming, that preaching moment.
Shenice, preach.
Never.
So,
Okay.
all right. Next question.
Okay. What does self-care mean to you?
That's actually a very big challenge for me. I work a lot. So self-care is probably the first to go all the time. But I am working on it, where I'm, finding a personal trainer to help me try to stay fit, or not necessarily be on the cover of Muscle Fitness magazine or GQ, but just to be healthy. I'm also,
so basically you need to schedule some of this self-care in, and have a boss there to tell you what to do to get your self-care.
Exactly.
I'm gonna tell you this because you are someone that I feel like you give so much and care, like just you texting us, checking on us, and it kind of, I probably have to remind myself to send you a text message because you give so much. I want you to take some of that and give it to yourself, because I think you deserve that.
Oh, he most certainly deserves it. Yeah. But he's been through this so long.
Yeah.
I will say I appreciate that. But a lot of it has to do with just who I am as a person. Yeah. It's very hard for me to put myself first. And it is something that I work on. So, I do try to create my own sanctuary and do things that make me happy.
We've seen your closet.
So, and so, what can I say? I will say, though, on a side note, unrelated to anything we talked about in this podcast, girl, I did not know I have more than 80 pairs of shoes. Oh my God. But anyways,
as long as it's at the top of your joy list, we're okay.
It really is.
Okay.
I find joy in knowing that I can wear a different pair of shoes whenever I want to. So with that being said, the whole self-care thing, I applaud those who are very, very good at it. It is something that it is quite difficult for me because I always do think about everybody else before I think about myself. And I do give everybody time before I give myself time. And I think that will probably be the one thing that will always haunt me, of trying to find that balance. But I know myself enough to know that when I need someone to tell me to put it on my schedule or tell me what to do during those self-care moments, I know who those people need to be and should be. So it's a work in progress. I wish I had a magical answer for what that is for me, but I will say that I know when I get to that place, when I need a break, I need a vacation, I need to get away, all of that stuff, I will do what I need to do so that I can step away for that moment.
Okay.
Not often, but I try.
Right.
Yes.
As long as you know, it's scary when people don't know.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes,
All
I'm quite self-aware. I just don't have the strength to do self-care as often as I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So next question: what advice would you give to someone in the LGBTQ plus community that wants to advance in their career or level up their business?
I think that advice is different from someone who is LGBTQ or straight, or anywhere in between, the rainbow. I think it's about being your most authentic self and finding what drives you, what's your passion, what makes you fulfilled. And I think that it's okay, just as it is okay to take 6 years or X number of times to finish whatever goals you have in life, academically, professionally, it is just as okay if it takes you several job opportunities and roles and positions and companies to find the one thing that brings you joy. I think a lot of times people have a fear of going out there and doing what they love because they fear failure, or they fear somebody or a group of people saying you can't do it, or that you're not good enough, or you don't have that look, or you don't have that that sexuality, whatever that might be. So I would say to anyone who wants to move forward in their careers, or wants to, make something of themselves professionally, is take the time to figure out who you are, what you bring to the table, and what makes you happy. I mean, it sounds very cliche, but really that's what your life's purpose is to find the answers to those things. But specifically to anybody who is a part of the LGBTQ plus community, it's okay to be you. We are in 2020. It is still not right. It is still not perfect. God knows what's going on in the world right now. But it is 100% okay to be who you are. If you want to come into work wearing a flaming rainbow outfit, go for it. If you want to come in with colored hair, go for it. If you want to flaunt a picture of you and your partner, go for it. Because anybody who judges you for what happens behind closed doors is just as prejudiced as anybody who's judging you for being poor or judging you for being, whatever. And so I think we as a society needs to move past that my sexuality has nothing to do with my abilities to do my job or not do my job. And so as long as we all stick together, and we need allies to do that as well, but to all those people who are maybe afraid to be themselves at work, know that it's okay. And if you lose that opportunity because your employer doesn't see you that way, it just, I believe in that saying that, when you feel like you've been rejected from something, it's God's way of pointing you in the direction for something that's meant for you, right? And so it's not really rejection, it's just a redirection. And so
I love that.
Take that for what that.
Vinh, did we lose you?
You only have over in life is being yourself. I'm still here.
Okay, we lost you a little bit. You said it's not rejection, it's redirection.
Yeah, I basically said, just be you. At the end of the day, that's all you can do. That's the one thing that you actually have control over, is being yourself.
That's awesome. I love it. Do you have a favorite book or podcast that you listen to? Either one.
No and no. And not because I don't enjoy reading, and not because I don't enjoy listening.
You don't have time. We already know.
I don't have time.
I was about to say,
So So I could try to lie to you, but I'm not. I'm gonna keep it real. No, and
No, that's
no,
fine.
not at the moment.
Well, this would be your next one. Okay, your
Are
favorite
you?
one.
Oh gosh, are you reading any books for your degree program that you're going through? Do you have to read or do anything, or is it more like research?
Well, a lot of research, a lot of
Mm.
articles, less books per se, a lot more articles, and
Right.
reports and things of that nature.
Okay, so that's your reading right now. That's your favorite reading.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know if it's favorite, but certainly something I do a lot.
Yeah.
This might be a difficult question because we know your schedule, but what do you like to do in your spare time?
Oh, first and foremost, sleep. But if given the opportunity where I can step away from work, school, etc., I like to travel. Part of my goal is to be able to see. I don't want to say the whole world, but I want to say if I can check off every place that I ultimately want to go to off my bucket list before I go, that would be my dream. So to travel, and then when given the opportunity, really just whatever it takes for me to relax. But
And you love
those come
wine.
very well. Sometimes you need it to relax.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Thanks.
Alrighty. Now, I know you don't actually have a business right now that you're actually like doing
Seeking
but,
customers or anything
seeking
for.
customers or anything. But if you would like to share, please tell our audience how you would like to. How they can get in touch with you.
Sure. If they're just reaching out to me personally, I'm on Facebook. They can find me. If they need advice on school related things, I'm certainly able to share that with them. If they are in a small business of their own, they need help with possible business coaching or digital marketing, social media, certainly reach out to me and I'll guide them to the right appropriate emails or contact information to send there, because otherwise I'll just be reading off a bunch of numbers and emails and that'd just be pointless. And then lastly but not least, if anybody's listening out there and they need some help with English as a second language, then give me a call, let me know.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being our guest today. That's all we have for you. But I know that a lot of things we talked about could be truly impactful to someone out there who just needs some words of encouragement, just needs a relatable story. What's really nice is, we all have such different stories. So we really, really do appreciate you coming on and, being with us for this time and being so open to the world and those that need you. So
I think
thank you.
Less than 24 hours ago. So
yes. Well, it has truly been my pleasure. I am very, very proud of you two. This was a very nice thing to see two women of color, especially in this current world's climate, do something that's positive, that I know ultimately will make a change in how people view us in the LGBTQ community, but also showing young little girls that two powerful women can come together in their own rights and give a platform to people to share their stories. So from my personal note, as a friend, as a fellow volunteer in many organizations, I applaud you two for taking the time and devotion out to this podcast, and I know it will be nothing but success. And so thank you for doing that, because it does take a certain kind of person to put themselves out there to be judged and still be able to wake up every day and want to do it. So I thank you two for doing that and inviting me to be a part of it.
Yeah, of course. So thank you so much, Vinh.
Thanks for watching.
Like, subscribe, and share the video to your friends. In the comment section down below, write how good the video was.
And if you're listening to the podcast, make sure to hit a 5-star review.
Bye.